Welcome back to Dark Nexus. My name is Rob, I'm the Game Master, and we've got 4 players tackling this crazy, awesome adventure path from Paizo.
I'm Katie.
I'm Paul.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Johnny.
Tonight, Chapter 2. I'll catch us back up with a little overview of where we stand. Last week was a lot of table setting, getting pieces into place for our characters that have no memories and our players have no idea what's going on. We began with a prologue, where some sort of inhuman life form seemed to be attempting to mentally interface with you, all of you, and was distressed to discover that it couldn't do so, and it couldn't do so because you had no memories. Then it did what it described as probing, which caused terrible pain, but shook loose a whole bunch of images in your brains. Chief among them, a city beneath towering mountains where an old woman was staring at you in horror, and a gray wooden hut squatting under a tree with human heads for fruit, where some dude was laughing and some other dude, a middle-aged guy with a charcoal beard and purple John Lennon specs, was looking down on you through a portal or something. Then there was more probing, and you heard all sorts of voices, probably voices you heard before whatever happened to you happened. Then you woke up, or so you thought. But it turned out to be a shared nightmare. You were in a yellow city filled with yellow fog, wearing tight yellow robes with featureless white masks sewed to your faces, clutching weird objects, a makeshift torch, a volcanic rock, a large knitting needle, and a strange decorative chain. And a nightmare man with pale skin, a lamprey mouth, living yellow rags for clothing, and a gleaming war razor was hunting you. And then he killed you all. And then you really woke up. And the actual real-life situation wasn't much better. So you were lying naked in locked cells in a torture dungeon where a doctor lady was using a rusty pair of pruning shears to kill a middle-aged dude strapped to a table. You managed to kill her through a combination of Robert's character's brute strength and Katie's character's ability to fling objects around the room without apparently using verbal, somatic, or material spell components, although she did seem to try to use them at first. The lady in the Dr. Elacy Skeen coat died, transforming, as she did, into a long, pale, featureless aberration, but not before she brutally stabbed the man on the table to death. Stab, 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 right in the chest. Oh, little sidebar here. All of you, except for Robert, got very lucky last session. So using the sanity rules is new for us and new for me, and I forgot to have anybody but Robert make a save against their first sight of the nightmare stalker. So we all know poor Robert ended up with a phobia to bladed weapons. Everyone else got lucky. I'm not going to worry about going back on that one, but once I finish up the recap, let's remember to make a sanity check for everyone who just witnessed this horrifying double scene of gruesome murder that just transpired, which is essentially the first ones you've ever seen in your life since you have no memories. We'll get back to that. So here's the rest of what we know. We don't know anybody's names yet, or their class. We know Robert's hulking, gray-skinned, half-orc man of indeterminate age, but not young, who's good with his fists, missing a bunch of fingers, and branded with a squiggly line on the back of his neck. We know Johnny is a human man in his 30s, leathery, weather-beaten, also branded with the same mark in the same place, and he's got a striking geometric spiral of perfect equilateral triangles tattooed on his face. We know Katie's a woman older than the rest of you, maybe around 50, who looks human but has coppery skin, metallic silver hair, and amethyst-colored eyes. She's also branded, but with a different mark. Hers is an eye, and she's got a purple stain all over the back of her body. So the 3 of you are still locked in your cells, without equipment, except Johnny's got a belt. All 4 of you know that you speak the Taldane language, because you started to recognize it as the doctor spoke it, and then as you spoke it. It's the common tongue for a big part of the central area of Golarion, Paizo's campaign world. So knowing that doesn't tell you too much about where you might be, other than that you're probably somewhere on the continent of Avestan, probably somewhere near the Inner Sea, perhaps. And I left Paul for last, because he's the one we know the least about thus far. He barely spoke in the fight. He was kind of hiding in the shadows, trying to find a time to grab the doctor before Robert got to her. And he hasn't used any sort of class ability yet. He's a much younger person than the rest of you. A human man in his early 20s with a strong but warped body. There's no brand on him, but patches of him are literally rotting in front of your eyes. And the rest of him, and except, I don't think I mentioned this specifically last time, except for his face and his hands, which are not marked, the rest of his body is covered in scars. It looks like words have been repeatedly carved into his flesh over and over and over again. Katie's character hasn't seen him yet, but John and Robert's have, and they can't read what it says. So Paul, now that you've left the shadows and you're standing in the open door of your cell, in the flickering torchlight from the torch over the murder table, you can see the writing on you now, and you can read it. I'm going to tell you what it says, and you can decide what you want to share with the others, if you want to. And then we'll make sure to roll those sanity checks. But first, let's plug and hum while I tell Paul what's written on his body. It is the word Daria, D-A-R-I-A, written over and over, overlapping, crisscrossing, wrapping around itself all over your body. You understand Daria to be a name rather than a word, a name for a woman, like we would think of it in English, essentially. And it's in the infernal language, the language of hell, the language of devils, the language of infernal contracts, and soul binding. All right, everybody, come on back.
And that's a language that I understand.
That is the second language that you speak.
Okay.
Back. Our first plug and hum.
Yes. By the way, thank you so much to Syrinscape for the amazing music and sound sets that we're using. Okay, Paul, you're standing in the open door to your cell. You just learned what you just learned about what's written on your body.
And just to backtrack a little bit, just one detail that echoes for me as I think back to when we last played was the twisty, strange nature of this doctor lady, like her head turned around on its axis, her tongue was doing weird things, her body folded strangely. All of her actions around the guy on the table were totally weird. And as if there weren't enough things to kind of freak out about.
Hey, and that's a real good lead into some sanity checks that we'll pick up right after that.
Okay.
Quick question before we roll those.
Yes.
I know that I still have the madness
Yes.
that I got in the dream. Like, actively, am I shaken, or am I just having to make the save the next time I see an edged weapon?
So the next time you can see an edged weapon and you're within 30 feet of it, you're going to have to make a will save or be shaken.
Right.
And then after that, you have the option to make another save. If you pass that one, you're okay for the moment. If you fail it, you're frightened and have to run away.
Okay, so what state am I in right now based on seeing the edged weapon in the dream? Am I still shaken from that?
No.
Okay.
You have no game condition at the moment.
Gotcha, okay. But I could get, madnesses keep stacking, I'm assuming.
The way we're going, we're not going to be double or tripling madnesses on top of you. Okay. It's basically just going to make it harder for you to get rid of this one.
Okay.
Let's start with Polly.
Yeah, this is a will save.
It is a will save. Rolling die 20, adding your will bonus.
Okay, so I rolled an 8. My will save is +2, so that's a 10.
You take 1 point of sanity damage, which, because of the combination of your mental ability scores, means you're okay for the moment. You've got enough combination of charisma, will, and intelligence to fight off obtaining madnesses from horrifying circumstances, which obviously Robert doesn't. Johnny?
Okay, here we go. Ooh, natural 9 + 4 for a total of 13.
All right, so you also only take 1. You aren't made mad. Katie?
Oh dear. That's a 2 plus 3 is 5.
That's a big old fail.
Yeah.
You take 3 points of sanity damage.
Oh.
But the good news for Katie is that's still under her threshold, so no madness for her. And Robert?
Yet.
Good luck, buddy.
That's a 3.
Okay. Okay. You take 5 more points.
my
So
God.
currently sitting at 6. When we get to the point where we can rest, we can talk a little bit more about how this goes away, which basically is long periods of time, some counseling from a friend, but you're going to be hurting for a while.
Hugs?
Hugs will provide flavor assistance.
I don't know if the half-orc hugging you is really the thing that's going to help with your sanity.
Did not help her.
You're
No.
keeping track of the mechanic of this,
I am.
right? Okay.
So I will tell you when you brush up against something that will affect
So when
you.
you say -1, that doesn't really have an effect on me, but I do feel what I've seen, what I've witnessed is disturbing. I'm fighting off it having a lasting, permanent sort of effect on me.
Exactly.
But right now I'm
Exactly.
not post-traumatic stress disorder yet.
Right, you can fight off the effects, but you feel like that was scary enough that it threatened to drive you mad.
Okay.
So that's a great transition then back to you. What do you do?
Right. So I had the half-orc guy kick the keys over to me, and that's the way I was able to open up.
No, the keys just flew over to you
That's spooky.
in an
It
arc
was. I was very
through the air.
disturbed.
Roll for
The
sanity.
half-orc was very disturbed.
So that's how I got the keys and opened up the
You
door.
tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself.
Right,
about how you got
right.
it. I can't
Things
even
are
see.
so effed up that I don't want to entertain any other possibility. Okay, so I open up my door and I see to my right that there's a pile of clothes, right? There's some kind of...
2 sacks, a
Sacks.
couple of books, and a straitjacket. One sack is larger, looks like maybe backpack sized. One sack is smaller, looks like maybe, think of it like large dice bag sized.
Okay, I'm going to go to the backpack-sized bag and start tearing it open and going through it.
Excellent.
Hey, could you let the rest of us out of here, please?
I'm still just going
Hey.
through the bag.
Hey,
I look over my shoulder and go back to what I'm doing.
So you're starting with the larger one?
Yep.
All right, so Johnny's character's calling out to you, you're ignoring him.
Yep.
It's filled with tools, a weird kind of wooden torch-like thing with metal plates and stuff, a red leather case that looks similar to the red leather belt that Johnny's character received earlier. There's a black leather kit of lock picks. There's what looks like a healing kit with 4 uses left, so there's bandages and herbs. There's a little brown leather pouch, and then there's 2 spell component pouches. A couple of charcoal pencils, quill pen, inkwell. So it looks like a tool sack.
Cool.
Hello?
I'm going to take the healing kit.
4 uses.
Got it.
I think there's something wrong with his ears.
There's the straitjacket, but there's nothing that looks like any other kind of clothing around there.
Correct.
The half-orc starts shaking the bars.
I'm going to go into the dice bag and start
Is someone out?
messing with that.
Yeah, there's a guy out, the guy on the other side of you.
Shh, quiet.
Okay, a set of matched wedding rings, a man and a woman's, gold stylized with embossed chains. There's a collection of golden rings and studs and spikes, clearly designed to be used with body piercings. There is a silvery, spiky brooch sort of thing that looks like a constable or a lawman's badge. There is a fairly large milky white crystal, and then a couple of weirdly shaped silver cups, and then a handful of gold pieces and silver pieces.
Yeah, I'm going to take that whole pouch.
Okay.
And
Robert, do you want to give me a strength check on those doors, see if you're able to impact it?
Yes, I would. These dice are shite. 10.
All right, okay, so nothing happens there.
okay, with the the wooden torch had metal bits on it?
Yeah, it has like metal plates, bits of clockwork stuff. It looks like it may be decorative, maybe ripped off of a wall.
Does it feel like it could be used like a club? Like it
Could you
does it
at
have
least
some weight?
throw the key to one of us, you fuck?
It has enough weight to do maybe 1d2 damage, but it
Okay.
already looks like it's broken.
Okay.
You might just smash it if you hit
Okay.
it.
All right.
Hey, lady, can you maybe move one of those other things on the table next to you? Can you?
I'm gonna
throw
go-
one of them over to me.
I'm going back
Maybe-
to
maybe I
the
can get
door.
out of this.
Hold on a second. I'm going back to the door. I'm taking the keys and I'm throwing them to the half orc.
Great.
And then I'm going to go check out the door to the east.
All right, so Robert, the keys are coming your way. Paul, you're heading down a little 10-foot hallway that goes to the east out of this room, which is essentially reaching the edge of the torchlight. So you there's a wooden door at the end of that thing, and you can tell, like, you might have maybe 5 feet of faint light beyond that once you open this door. Robert,
Snick.
Polly,
Perception check.
great. Give me a roll. You're listening at the door?
Yeah, I want to listen at the door.
Cool.
Snick was me opening the door for our friends listening at home.
I rolled a 15 plus 1 perception would be 16.
You notice a couple of things. There is a foul smell seeping underneath the door and around the bad fitting of the door to the frame. And you hear what sounds like the buzzing of flies. All right, so Paulie's checking that door out. Robert, you've got your door open. What do you do?
I look back and forth between the woman and the, what are we calling? What's
Triangle
the
Man.
Triangle Man. And toss the keys to the woman.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
I'm sure you'll get your turn.
Paulie,
I'm going to try the door in a stealthy kind of way, whatever that means. Like, if I'm concerned that there's something on the other side of the door that might notice me, I'm going to try to, like, sneak the door open and catch a glimpse of what's on the other side.
hello. Give me a stealth check. See how good you are at that. Katie, the keys are coming your way.
8 plus 3, 11.
Good to know. You feel pretty stealthy about that. You creak the door open, and you're just hit with a wave of stench. And though hopefully Paul doesn't know what this smells like, Paul's character knows for a fact it is rotting corpses. You recognize that scent as like, yes, rotting corpses. That's exactly what they smell like. And then you hear a loud buzzing of flies. Maybe, let's say, just at the edge of the light ahead of you, 5 or 10 feet ahead, you see the bottom of what looks like a set of wooden stairs going up. You can kind of see a dusting of stone particles, chunks of rock. It looks like, someone was smashing or excavating on these stairs, and they're kind of covered with a little film of rock particles. Katie, you've got the keys.
I unlock my door
Snicked.
and open it and go and unlock the door of the person in the cell across from me.
Great. Robert, what are you doing at this time?
It was the bags of stuff on the
side table?
I'm gonna
Let me remind you what's
It
there.
was different stuff. The bags were
These
right
were
next to
torture materials.
Oh, I want to look at it unless anything starts to. Do I have any? How does this work? So if can I see that? Oh, that's edged and back off something, or is it like only if I see something used violently, or so like something laying on a table would be enough to set me off? How?
I'm
Or
going to leave that up to you.
Okay.
How do you think he would respond? I mean, obviously, I think somebody comes at him with a bladed weapon. That would be terrifying. But so you see a couple of flasks of acid, a whole bunch of ripped up parchment pages with writing on it, flint and steel, hammers, scalpels, kitchen knives, gardening trowel, pliers, some chunks of stone, some long shards of broken glass.
I think something sitting on a table, barring your discretion, of course, in case something comes up, but I think that's more of a flavor. Definitely makes him uneasy.
Okay, great.
But then if circumstances become extenuating, of course.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely in any sort of violent sense, yeah, that would definitely freak him right out.
Anything you want to grab from there while Katie's making her way over to Johnny's cell?
Do I... I'm going to look at the parchment.
Okay.
I'm confused by parchment
put your
usually,
knee
but I'm
over
going
there.
to look at... Oh, yes, thank you.
So it is written in Taldane, and you know that you can read that language. It seems to be a big stack of reverential prayers written to a goddess named Shaylin. Do you have knowledge religion as one of your... That's adorable. All right, so there are to a goddess named Shaylin. Back to Polly. You're staring at the stairs, and then a dark room, presumably filled with dead corpses and flies.
Is there any light coming from anywhere at all in the room?
Nope, it is
Okay, so
dark as the
it's
grave.
super duper dark in there.
In addition to this hallway on the east side of the room, the west side of the room has a big collapsed cell in it, an empty cell in it, and then a pretty wide, a 15-foot wide passage heading to the south that nobody's gotten a good bead on. Although I guess so now, Katie, I believe you have dark vision, do you not?
I do.
Okay, so Johnny's character didn't. He couldn't see very far down that hallway. So let me reveal a little bit more of the map. You see that the hallway goes about maybe 20, 25 feet straight ahead to the south, and it then turns the corner to go back east again, but you can see the edges of what looks to be a big pile of blood-soaked, discarded, torn-up clothing, armor, weapons, and a bunch of assorted crap in the nature of equipment. Back to Paul.
I want to... Well, I can't really see in the dark. There's not much I can do in there. So I'm going to close the door.
Great.
Quietly.
Great.
As quietly as possible. And start heading this way, west.
Just want to head down and join the others?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, not necessarily join them, but walk past them to start
Okay.
heading to check out things this way.
Okay, so Katie, you've got Johnny's cell open now as Paul's character is heading out of the light on the other side towards this hallway he can't see down.
There's armor and equipment down there. Maybe clothing and weapons. And I walk away from the cell and go to the corpse on the table.
What do you do with the corpse?
Do you eat its toes?
Well, I look at his face, looking for recognition.
No recognition.
Then, with sort of a little sideways glance around, I begin to feel my way around.
What are you doing?
All right, so she's starting to probe her fingers through the blood. Paul's edging towards the edge of the light there.
Gross.
Robert and Johnny, what do you think you're doing at this
Everything
moment?
here is
What do
gross.
you think you're doing?
Thanks, lady, for opening the door for me. I really appreciate it.
She nods in acknowledgement, but she's clearly concentrating on what she's doing.
Okay.
I'm gonna. I heard equipment, so I'll start. I gotta cover up because I'm naked. So yeah, I'll start. I overhear her say that, so I'll start heading around.
Great. Johnny.
Thanks, lady. What's your name?
My name is Dora.
Oh, thanks, Dora.
You're welcome.
She's sort of staring off into space with her fingers, like, probing his blood-soaked body.
That's not creepy at all. All right, let's see if I can find something to cover myself up with.
So...
Yeah, is there anything remotely resembling clothes that one could put on to at least like wrap around one's waist, like a towel or anything?
So not that you can see, but Robert can see down in this pile at the edge of the southern hallway, which is out of your vision.
Is there a torch? Is there some form of light that I can pick up and move and look around?
There's a torch tied to the ceiling over the table. Obviously, since Katie's character was able to see down there without light, she might not need it for what she's doing. You can reach it and grab it if you want to.
Excuse me, are you using that? Oh, okay.
I grab the torch.
Excellent. So Robert and Johnny are going down to check out the pile of stuff. Paul, are you joining them as
Yes, absolutely.
Something to wear wouldn't be amiss.
Yeah. No problem. Thanks for taking care of that really creepy doctor.
So there is it's just a chaotic heap of crap. Looks like the base is dozens of sepia-colored light cloth knee-length gowns, like hospital gowns for patients. Most are filthy, most are covered in blood, some are shredded, but there are some that are whole. On top of that is a bunch of busted up looking weapons and armor, a pair of human arms. Both are left arms, both arms are missing the thumbs. And sitting atop all of that chaos, a violin has been placed neatly. It looks whole, undamaged, masterwork, untouched by the gore and devastation around it. So tons of patient gowns and equipment and stuff. You want to start plowing into that? Let me tell you what you see around that corner now that you're all down there. Just around the corner from the large pile of crap is a furnace taking up about the last 20 feet of the room. It's got an open door that's like big enough to shove a child into, and sort of
That's a terrible
So it's a
description.
very specific
That is.
size.
I don't need that image in my head.
looking in there just from across the way, you can see just heaps and heaps of ash, bone fragments, but there appears to also be glints of metal in there as well. Let's get back to Katie. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
They don't know what you're doing.
And I
think this is a
believe you
secret
make the
check.
roll, yeah.
I do. So what is your knowledge arcana bonus?
+9.
+9. Excellent.
Excellent for you or excellent for me?
Well, here's what you know. You know that he's a human man on the older side of his middle ages. You determine that he was 58 years old at the moment of his death. He's quite tall, thin, bony. Looks like he might have been in an actual state of starvation. His hair is long, he's got a long beard. Both are salt and pepper, more salt than pepper. Lots of white, but what is dark is black, as opposed to like brown or red or something. His skin, what you can make out, was pretty pale, like he didn't get much sun in his days on Galarian. The teeth he has left after the torture are very clean and white, leading you to think that he must have been wealthy or privileged. But what you can see of his fingers leads you to believe that he probably worked with his hands. They're marked up and calloused. He was human. He was Ulfin. Can you make a knowledge geography check?
I don't have it as a skill. It doesn't mean I can't make it.
This is very standard information. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and make it?
Oh, I don't even have it on my sheet. But I'm just going to add my intelligence bonus.
Yeah.
17.
Great. So the people of Ulfin descent come from the far north of the continent of Avestan. So like the lands of the Linorm kings, a lot of the people in Irison, the land of the witches, they typically have pale hair. So for him to have had black hair before it started turning gray would be unusual. You're able to determine the gender, he was male, and you're able to know what his alignment was, which was neutral evil.
At that realization, I pull away from him, and I edge my way over to the corpse of the doctor lady.
Excellent. So folks down by the pile of stuff, do you want to sort through that? Do you want to check out the boiler?
I definitely want to sort through the stuff on the clothes, and I want to ask the half-orc what he saw on the table there, because there was mention of a parchment. I might be able to do a knowledge check on that.
Yeah, I'll show you the parchment. I don't know. It's something about some god or other.
A god.
Goddess, sorry.
Yeah, I might know something about that.
Okay, as I mentioned, a masterwork violin on top of the pile, a whole bunch of patience gowns, a bunch of arms. There are also some ears further down, most have been chewed on. There is a once fine rapier with a delicate and beautifully forged rose-shaped hilt. It had clearly been masterwork at some point, possibly even magical, but in its current state it's just a regular rapier. There's a well-made sickle that has seen better days, a black iron morning star splattered in blood, a little warped but usable, a breathtaking silvery masterwork battle axe with a stylized blade that looks like spears lancing out from a central point, or maybe rays of light from a sun or beams from a star. It's striking, but it has been shattered into 3 pieces. There is a suit of once exquisite deep red leather armor. It's trashed and cut up. It had probably once been masterwork, again, maybe even magical, but it's just regular leather armor right now. There's a totally mangled and destroyed black chain shirt, unusable. There is an impressive suit of charcoal gray studded leather made for someone huge. It's trashed and messed up. Maybe it used to be spiked and the spikes have been torn off.
Literally huge? Like gameplay takes up more squares huge?
No,
or,
like as you
or maybe
eyeball
like
it,
almost 7 foot tall.
as though it were exactly your size. It would currently still function as masterwork studded leather. There is an unsettling suit of black blood-soaked chainmail made for someone really thin with long weird limbs. Again, it's seen better days. Probably once used to be magical, but now it's just regular chain. There is a dented up and warped light steel shield with a stylized pointy stabby star. It looks like it's a mate to the battle axe that had been shattered. It looks like it was once masterwork, probably also once spiked, but those have all been torn off and now it just functions as a regular light steel shield. And there's a banged up and blood-soaked black iron buckler. There's also, you can scrounge a total of 5 daggers from the pile, 2 hand axes that could also be used as throwing axes. There's 2 banged up light crossbows that look functional enough, and you can find a total of 15 usable crossbow bolts. How do we want to approach that list of stuff?
The first thing I would do is probably grab just something to like wrap around myself so that I'm not walking around buck-ass naked.
Excellent. So you've got a hospital patient's gown draped
and then I
over
would
you.
probably go and offer one to the lady as well.
So
When you
she's
do,
heading over to the...
Yeah, she's kneeling down next to the corpse of the doctor.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna. Here you go. You take that.
Thank you, young man.
I'll fashion something together with a couple of gowns, and I'm just going to put that studded leather armor on.
I'm drawn to that black chainmail, but something feels like it would be too bulky or cumbersome for me, or...
It looks like it was made for you.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try and get that black chainmail on, and that Morning Star is speaking to me too.
The destroyed, like, red leather armor?
Yeah.
Is it even anything that would be able to, like, go over or around this dressing gown? Or is it just completely, like, a waste?
No, it's usable. Definitely was not made for you, but, with 5 minutes of work, you can sort of get yourself strapped into it, so it would
Okay.
function as regular leather armor.
Would I be able to fit that rapier on my belt?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then I'll take my special, beautiful belt that is mine and strap it around
Your
this
Renaissance
destroyed...
superhero belt.
My Renaissance superhero belt and strap it around this destroyed red leather armor.
It's a perfect match. The leather is obviously the same. It was made by the same person.
But this armor doesn't fit me.
No. Paul, as you're climbing into that black chainmail and grabbing the black Morning Star, you do look at that black iron buckler, and it
Yeah.
looks like a fit. Looks
Yeah.
like a match.
Got it.
Robert, if you want it, you notice that the light steel shield is probably a perfect match for the masterwork studded leather that you are wearing. Katie.
So 2 things.
Yes.
I'd like to make a knowledge check on what this thing is that was playing the doctor, that impersonated the half-orc, that had her tongue ripped out.
Yes. That would be a knowledge nature check if you have it.
I don't have it.
All right.
But again, I could do it, but I'm going to hold that.
Okay.
No.
All right. So you're getting a little tickle of recognition, but
Yeah.
you're not quite sure.
So then she stands up and puts on the whatever thing the Triangle Man brought her.
The hospital
and,
gown.
And
yeah.
then she looks around and goes to the, I believe that's the
The pile of sacks.
west.
Where the sacks are?
No. To the top of that 15-foot hallway where everybody else is. So I'm in like the cross section. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
right
you're looking
about
down
there.
at the 3 guys.
Yeah,
going
and
through the equipment.
also looking back into the room with the cells that I just left. She puts both hands up, and she has this very clear image in her mind of a large bell tolling, signaling something, and she is filled with the most intense sense of curiosity.
Okay. Katie, or actually Dora, now that we know your name,
Crazy.
you complete that series of thoughts and feelings, and you start to feel a stabbing pulse of warmth in a whole bunch of directions spiraling out from you. You feel really drawn to both sacks at the other end of the room, almost like something or some things inside both of them are glowing a little bit. You feel specifically pulled to the small dice bag sized sack. When
You took those, right?
Yes.
So they're on him.
Oh, he's holding them? Great.
He took everything.
Great. So you're,
Not everything.
so then
Like an anti-Santa Claus.
you see that glow and you feel that pull towards both the sacks that he's holding.
So I walk towards him.
There is this glow and this feeling coming off of that violin on top of the pile of equipment. The rapier in Johnny's character's belt is glowing to you. The Morning Star that Paul's character is holding is glowing. The 3 shards of the battle axe in the pile are glowing. And then there's just a cascade of light in this sense of what you're detecting coming out of the open door of the furnace/boiler thing.
There is much of significance here. And I begin pointing to the items, the rapier, the Morning Star. Something in those pouches. May I?
I think I can feel what you're feeling. I can't explain it.
I don't want to take
No.
anything from you.
No, if you know what to do with this, whatever this is, this energy, here, take a look at it.
Thank you. So I take the 2 pouches, and I also lay my hand on the violin. This too. Is this familiar to anyone?
Nothing's familiar to me.
Want to check it out? Give me a perception check. Anyone that's around there?
That's a good number.
13, that's not bad.
24. I don't need to give my...
Natural 2.
14.
Total of 9.
So, Dora, as you reference this violin and you go over to lay your hand on it to lift it up so folks can look at it, you notice that there seems to be a small rolled up piece of paper tucked inside one of the holes into the violin.
Is that where the significance is coming
No,
from?
it is the
It is
object
violin
itself. The note inside is not registering psychic significance.
I remove the note.
Inside, it says, in a language that only you can read, which turns out to be Draconic, it says, for Eric, E-R-I-C-H, don't forget.
Oh, Eric, don't forget. Are any of you named Eric?
I wish I could tell you.
No.
No.
I don't know.
No, not you.
You don't know your name?
Your name is... Isn't it... Is it Braden?
No, but yeah,
You don't seem certain.
it's a tear suddenly comes out of his eye. It's uncontrolled. He's doesn't even know where it's coming from. It's something like that. I don't know.
May I call you that?
No, it's like that, but it's not that. What did you said what? Braden.
Braden. I feel it with such certainty. Perhaps someone close to you.
No. That's me.
Yes.
Call me Ray.
Ray.
Call me Ray.
All right. I'm Dora.
What the fuck is happening to me?
I don't know, my friend, but I believe it's happening to all of us.
So she lays a hand on your shoulder, if you'll allow her, and just rests it there a moment as an attempt to assure you of something. And then she returns her attention to the 2 pouches that he gave her. And opens one of them.
So
And then goes insane.
you're very drawn to the small one, and that's where you, in fact, feel the kind of stabbing pain rather than sort of warm light.
Yeah.
Inside, again, there's a pair of wedding rings, a man's and a woman's. That woman's wedding ring, you're feeling it like a phantom limb. Like you know for fact that is yours. Both of those are registering psychic significance. The other thing that's registering significance is the constable's badge. Inside there's also a bunch of studs and spikes for body piercings, a large milky white crystal which when you run your hand over it starts to glow. It doesn't register psychic significance and it doesn't make you feel that kind of phantom limb pain, but it does respond to your touch. And then there's also these weirdly shaped silver cups, and I think we've all been gathered together long enough that as you're looking at those, you sort of eyeball over at Robert's character, and it's like, those look like they would fit perfectly on the ends of his tusks. Like they're little silver tusk caps.
He is very scary. So I very gently offer them to him.
I believe these are yours.
For what?
For your...
She indicates your tusks.
You can say the word. I know I have tusks.
I
Feel it. They're in my fucking face. I can feel them. Don't know if they look familiar or not, but they do look like they'd fit. Yeah, why not? I take them.
Great.
Looks at them. Does not. I don't think he feels any
does
sort
not.
of recognition, but
Do you remember your name?
no, I don't.
When I look at you, all I can see is you taking that creature's tongue in your hand and rending it from... I think perhaps, I'm not sure, someone may have once called you Rip.
Called me what?
Rip.
No, that doesn't sound right, does it? That's very close. He puts the things on his teeth.
Oh, they fit so perfectly.
Moves his jaw around. It'll take some getting used to.
They're very fetching.
Grip. You can call me Grip.
Grip. Andre.
I don't know who called me that, but that sounds right.
Grip.
Hey,
And you? Do you have any memory of your name?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Totally.
What is it?
And he looks around the room.
Yeah.
What's the first thing that I see?
It's violin.
Yes, the stone walls.
Stony.
Stony. That's charming. Is that what you'd like us to call you?
That's my name.
Oh, of course, yes.
Sense motive. 12.
That's my name.
All right. So, just
So now you
one-
got the pair of wedding rings. in
Yeah,
your
so I
hand.
got the wedding rings. Does it look like one of them will fit? Are they inscribed with anything, like on the inside?
Yeah, they both have the same engraving on the inside. 2 sets of initials, GV with a little hyphen, TA, and the number 4700.
Which is a... I
You
don't know
understand
what
it to
that
be
is.
a
Yeah,
date,
a date, yeah.
but you don't you know that
I
to
don't
be a
know
date
what
in the
year
past.
it is. Yeah. Okay. And those are causing stabbing pain, or the...
No, though, the woman's ring, it's causing this pain of it belongs on you.
All right.
You feel drawn
so
to it.
I will put it on.
It fits perfectly.
When you're doing this, have you like dumped all those things out to look at them? Like, are they laid out on them?
Those things I'm holding. Like, I've peeled back the bags that they're in, and they're resting
So they're
in
visible.
them. They're visible, yes.
Ray is scratching at some piercings, holes in his eyebrows, and he's eyeing some of the rings and spikes and things on your hand. I think those are mine.
Please
Yeah.
take them.
Yeah, thanks.
And Stony sees the wedding ring.
That's mine. That's mine. Can I have that, please? Dora, please.
Yes, of course.
So she hands him the man's wedding ring.
What does it stand for?
What do you mean? It's a ring.
Gulliver? Gulliver.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know who Gulliver is.
That's me.
That's...
is Stoney your last name? Man?
Yeah. Gulliver Stony. That's me.
All right.
You can call me Gull.
And that's your ring.
Yeah.
What does the V stand for?
It stands for very much none of your business.
You're quite right, of course.
Great. So the two of you are now wearing matching wedding rings.
Yeah. And there's a constable's badge that
Yes.
also feels,
That is registering as significant to somebody or something somehow.
but not necessarily me.
Not to you.
Not to me.
Right.
Is there anything written on it, or
No.
no?
But it does
So-
seem obviously of a design and of a piece with the smashed battle axe and the shield
shield.
that is now on Grip's arm.
These things go together. These pieces of this weapon and the shield and this brooch. They're not mine. I don't know whose they are, but they are significant.
How do you know all this stuff?
I don't know.
She can move things with like her brain. Didn't you see when she was like throwing stuff around? She tossed you the keys.
So the other large sack that you have, there's couple of things glowing in there, and one of them is giving you that phantom pain sensation like it belongs to you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'll go after that.
Great. So you open that large sack up again. The first thing that you notice is the weird-ass broken torch with metal plates that Ray was considering using as a weapon. It's registering as significant. It's got bits of flanges and plates and stuff on it. Looks like it may have been ripped off of something. It's clearly broken. And then there is...
The second you hold that up, Gulliver almost launches himself at you. And then stops himself.
What's wrong?
That's mine.
All right.
Yeah, that's mine.
You can have it.
Thank you. He snatches it away from you.
The other thing that's registering to you, Dora, is the small brown leather pouch.
Great. I will open it up. Is that the phantom ling
Yes.
thing? Okay.
It's filled with what appears to be the finger bones of like a halfling or something. They are bleached, perfectly white, obviously well polished, treated and cared for. They are yours.
These are mine, but I don't know why.
Inside that
Like
sack,
gambling?
there are also a couple of spell component pouches if anybody happens to need those. There's a folding black leather kit of lockpicks, and there's a kit of weird fancy tools in a dark red leather case.
That's mine.
Yeah, there you go. It's obviously of a set with the other red leather stuff that you have.
Does anyone know how to use these? She holds up the lockpicks. They seem very useful.
In the what's in the red leather case?
It's a set of tools. You're not exactly sure how they work, but you do feel like if you were to mess around with them long enough, you might be able to puzzle it out. And again, like you said, you sort of felt drawn to this sort of stuff. They don't immediately ring a bell, but you're like, yeah, a little bit of time, I could puzzle out what these are for.
Yeah, I can use those. The lockpicks.
Very good.
Yeah.
She hands them over. So now there's still a feeling of something significant, like in the furnace.
A whole bunch of things.
Whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Is it burning? Is it like running, like actively?
No,
or
the
is
furnace is cold.
There's more in there. Could be important.
Perception check?
Sure. You want to look inside there? Get up close and
Stick your head in.
stick your head in?
Yeah, I'm gonna approach
Great,
cautiously
great.
and look.
What age child would fit in this?
Please don't answer. I don't want to know that you know.
A 10-year-old child would fit perfectly.
Could a half-orc's head fit in?
Yes, yes. Actually, if you squeezed yourself in and you wanted to like get inside, you probably could.
I probably don't.
All right.
I
Ray.
rolled a 15 plus 1 for a 16 perception.
All right. You notice a couple of things when you poke your head inside the unlit furnace. So, a heap of ashes, littered with pieces of what are obviously the bones of humanoid creatures. You see amongst the ashes a whole bunch of holy symbols of a whole variety of gods. You find 3 steel spiraling comets stained blue and white for Pharasma. You find 2 golden keys of Abadar. You find a wooden circle with a carved open hand painted blue for Aurori. An exquisitely carved wooden songbird painted in a dazzling rainbow of colors for Shaylin. An iron skull with chains looped through its eyes for Zon Kuthan, and a red iron pentagram for Asmodeus. Now, these are things that when you look at them, Ray, without even needing to use the mechanics of the game, you recognize these holy symbols as though you must have been fairly up on who the gods were and what their symbols were.
Yeah.
So if you have any interest in particular ones of those gods, you can make a check to check further, but you recognize those right away. You also notice, as you're poking around and sifting through the ashes and pulling out these holy symbols, that there is a network of ductwork going up out of this furnace that, this is like a massive furnace, obviously designed to heat a large building of some sort. The ductwork is big enough that conceivably the 4 of you could cram yourselves into it and squeeze your way through it.
Die
if you
hard our way
decided,
out of here.
yes, if you decided that was the only way to get out of here, you're like, that would be awful, but I think we could fit.
Maybe less awful than climbing over piles of corpses.
Maybe?
Maybe. Great. I don't, metagame-wise, player Paul doesn't have any personal reference to any of the names that you just mentioned. So I don't know if any of them would be of particular interest to Ray. I don't have the
Sure.
the
Great.
background.
So why don't you give me a knowledge religion check on sort of a general high level bead on who these gods are.
I rolled 17 plus 5 would be 22.
Great. I'll give you just a little high level rundown.
Okay.
Pharasma is the Lady of Graves, the Mother of Souls. She's the neutral goddess of death, birth, and fate. She decides where souls go in the afterlife. She despises undeath. Abadar, the master of the first vault, the wealthy father. He's the lawful neutral god of civilization, wealth, and law. He's an old god, been around through many fallen civilizations. He and his followers seek to bring civilization and education to the wilderness, and law and properly regulated commerce to everybody. Irori is known as the Master of Masters and the Perfect Man. He's a lawful neutral god of knowledge, self-enlightenment, and healing. He is believed to have actually ascended to godhood from mortality and not by means of the test of the Star Stone. He's all about meditation, self-improvement, physical perfection, and is followed mostly by monks and priests dedicated to asceticism. The carved wooden songbird is for Shaylin, the eternal rose, the incorruptible one. She's the neutral good goddess of art, beauty, love, and music. She was once just a minor goddess of art and beauty, and a very fickle and judgmental one at that. But when she inherited her mother's portfolio of love, she opened up her ideals a little bit. She is the half-sister of Du Brawl, who is now known as Zon Kuthan. Zon Kuthan is the dude with the chains looped through his eyes. He's known as the Midnight Lord and the Prince of Pain. He's the lawful evil god of torture, mutilation, murder, and pain. He was once a minor god of beauty, like his half-sister Shaylin. But he went beyond the stars, and he was believed to have been twisted and changed by some alien being and came back horrifying. He hates his sister, but will not attack her or any of her followers openly. And finally, Asmodeus, the archfiend, the lord of the pit. He is the lawful evil god of tyranny, slavery, and contracts. He's the only archdevil of hell that has claimed full divinity, and he's basically the only truly evil god whose worship is openly condoned in pretty much all civilized society.
That's a great rundown. While I'm at it, can I add Shaylin to that mix?
She was the songbird goddess.
Oh, she was a songbird goddess. Yes, okay. I'm going to put that one on.
Great.
I mean, I want to hold all of them. I don't really seem to have a pouch or anything. Is there...
Just nature's pouch.
Oh.
You can keep
nature's
one of the sacks that all this equipment came in if you want to toss some stuff in.
Great.
We should take this violin, I think.
Who's gonna carry it?
I'll carry it if no one else will. I might.
I'm afraid I'd break it.
I might take one of those crossbows, perhaps, and a dagger, if no one minds.
The only weapon I feel any affinity for, and I'm only picking this up from chatter. I guess you haven't actually told me, but is the broken battle axe feeling like?
Well, the broken battle axe feels like it goes with the armor that you're wearing, which was clearly made for you, but you feel nothing for it. And it's shattered.
Right.
Otherwise, there's a bunch of daggers, some axes, hand axes, throwing axes.
So Gulliver is curled up to the side, like in a corner, kind of like out of the way, just watching everybody and watching this.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that I have seen so far that looks like this armor would fit? The dead guy on the table? Anybody here?
Give me an intelligence check.
Ooh, natural 18 plus 3, 21.
Yeah, so as some of this conversation's happening over by the furnace, I'm thinking with Ray as he's going through the holy symbols and sort of sharing some of this information, presumably with the others who are all trying to re-soak up what they know about the world. And you're eyeing them, you're eyeing the armor that you're wearing, you're eyeing the body on the table, and the closest thing you can come to anybody who might be present that you can see may have once fit in the armor is the dead man on the table. But you don't feel that with 100% certainty. That's just the best available option, if that makes sense.
Is there any way for me to sort of like surreptitiously like go over there and kind of like check anything to see if it would?
If you want to take the time to get out of the armor again.
No, I just want to.
But as you are heading over there, sort of with that idea in mind, you do notice the 3 items that are still left on the floor by that other hallway, which were a straitjacket, maybe not so interesting, but 2 tomes, 2 books, one of which, the smaller one, is made of red leather, and it seems of set with
That's mine.
the stuff that's yours. You want to go take a look at it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I grabbed the other one too.
Great. So the small one is packed with neat handwriting detailing alchemical formulas and processes. It's ripped up, mangled, smells like it has been urinated on. It's totally ruined except for just a handful of pages near the front. And there are formulas there that have survived whatever horrifying thing was done to this book that start to click and unlock things in your head like, I might know what the heck to do with this. And as you're sort of looking down at your Renaissance superhero belt, it seems as though you've got essentially the makings and ingredients to do some of the things in this book. The other book is a large tome. Looks like it's made of brown leather, stained and covered in blood, but it's hard to tell the color because it's covered in patches of ugly, furry, black fungus. The whole thing is mangled, shredded, reeks like urine. There's bits of pages sticking out that are covered in arcane runes and symbols. It's clearly once a wizard's spell book, but it's now completely destroyed and useless.
I will take both of those things.
Great.
But is there anything that I could use to write with? Is there
Yes,
anything
there's
like
a couple of charcoal pencils. There's an inkwell and a quill pen.
I, again, surreptitiously just write Gulliver on the ground.
Yeah.
Does that handwriting match the handwriting in the red book?
No.
I scuff it out.
Okay.
And then I'm going to walk over to everybody and be like, is this anybody's, like, withered book?
It looks so disgusting. Fungus, urine, torn pages.
Even if it were, I don't really need it.
So I had an initial thought that I was going to grab a hand axe.
Great.
Now, can I carry such a thing?
Can you?
Since it is slashing? And my wisdom being what it is, I suspect I would go up and pick it up without thinking about a prior thing. So
No,
now that's also going to set me up for if I swing a slashing weapon in violence.
yeah, I think
But you can let that unfold when it happens.
You
but,
feel
'cause
you
I'm
feel
not very
drawn
bright.
to the axes, and I think that once you actually get it in your hand, it's like drop it and step back. That the phobia to it is strong enough that you feel like you can't carry it. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I started looking up the stats, and I'm like, oh, slashing.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should inquire.
Yeah.
So in that case, he's gonna sling the shield on his back.
Great.
Because for some reason, hands free feels right.
Okay.
But yeah, he's not gonna tell you. He won't touch anything else.
Okay.
Yipe, yipe, yipe.
Have we checked out really this area enough yet? Do we feel like we know if there's
So
anything else in there?
there's an empty cell that had an open door that none of you were in. Poking your head in there, it seems to be empty, but if you want to give me a perception check,
Sure.
Paul, you can see what you see.
Yeah, that's 16.
Great. Seems nothing of note. So basically, we have checked out these cells. We've checked out these piles of equipment. All that remains, unless we want to climb up the furnace chute, is the door to the end that leads to the corpses and flies.
I don't know if you're gonna feel like trying this out or not, but there's a ventilation system above this like furnace thing. I think it could be a way out. I went down the other hallway and looked, and it's horrible. There's just the stench of death and flies and darkness, and I don't know. This seems actually like a safer way to go. Can you climb?
I can try. I will probably need assistance.
Is it just a bad smell the other way? Is that the problem?
Well, yes, bad smell, darkness.
Darkness isn't a problem
Darkness
with me.
is fine.
Well, maybe for you, it's fucking creepy in there. Look.
Perhaps we should look and see exactly what we're dealing with.
It was you couldn't see. It was too dark for you to see. Was that
Too
what's
dark
happening?
for me to see.
I'm going to go look down that door and see what's down the dark, smelly hallway.
I'll
we wanna-
follow about 10 feet behind him.
Gulliver
You
and-
guys go check it out.
That's what I said.
Ray, you gonna join them or you're gonna hang back?
I'm going to begrudgingly join them. I'm going to face my fear a little bit.
I've got the torch at the very back.
Yeah, like 10 feet behind you.
Grip leads the way down that little 10-foot hallway to the closed wooden door. As he approaches, he can smell the corpses. He can hear the flies. Puts a hand out on the door to open it up. End of chapter 2. We'll pick up there next week. Dark Nexus is a creation of Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, which are used under Paizo's community use policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo Inc. For more information about Paizo's community use policy, please visit paizo.com/communityuse. And for more information about Paizo and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's PAIZO.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Syrinscape. Check them out at syrinscape.com. That's SYRINSCAPE.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music, composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. Special thanks to Toy, without whose generosity this project would not have been possible. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Chris, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Darren, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
Fantastic.
Did we level?